How's it going, guys? Jake from Boatman UK here, and today I'm behind the camera showing you GPS Navi calibration. Now, this video will only apply to Vulcan GPS owners only, and essentially what this allows you to do is fine-tune the GPS accuracy to an extent. It won't affect the distance that the boat travels, but if you're finding your boat is stopping a touch left or a touch right of your location, you can actually fine-tune it. Now, this is something you may have seen mentioned online a few times. We've never actually released a video on this because we didn't want to release false information. We've been learning it ourselves exactly what it does and how to adjust it. So let's do an example here. So if we hit menu and hit menu again, you'll see the third option down is Navi calibration. If we click OK, you'll see there's a bunch of numbers. You've got target rate, current rate, and offset rate. The number that you can adjust is the offset rate at the bottom, and essentially 90 to 100 is what we recommend in the UK. Tends to be, give or take, about bang on. Now, this can differ and vary from location to location and boat to boat, which is the reason why we're doing this video. So we tend to find ourselves 90 is about right, and that'll pretty much go in line with where you're saving. So what you can actually do is you can adjust the numbers by +1, -1, +10, and -10. So if you lower that number, that's going to go more to the left of your saved location. And if you increase the number, it's going to go to the right. So for example, if you find your boat's constantly going to the left, you want to up that number. So what I'll do now, if I just come back out of the menu, and we'll sail over somewhere and we'll save a little spot and we'll circle that spot so we've got a reference, because unfortunately I don't have a marker float with me. So we'll save a location and we'll do some examples of what the numbers do and what the adjustment does. You can actually get the adjustment that far out that you can actually have the boat come literally the opposite direction. For example, when the boats leave the factory in China, they have them set to a different setting. They have them set in the 200s. And when that's actually, if they haven't changed it to UK settings, which we have had a couple of, they literally operate in the opposite direction. So what we'll do, we're going to save this point. We're going to overwrite this save point here. So hopefully you can see the boat in the distance, and what I'll do in the editing software, I'll add a little circle or a square so we've got a reference of that save point there. And all we're looking for today is how far left or how far right it's going to be of that spot. Okay, so I'm going to ask the boat to return to that save spot we did just a moment ago. And what we'll do, we'll assess and see if it stops to the left or to the right. Now, in theory, obviously this is all judged by human eye, so there might be some some discrepancy here or there, but at the moment I would say that it's probably going to be about bang on, maybe a smidge to the left as things currently stand. But I would say, from my memory of where I saved that spot, but the editing software will confirm, I'd say that's pretty much spot on with where I saved it. So what I'm going to do now, if I can get out of these brambles, there we go, I am going to manipulate this number and show you exactly how it will behave differently. So first things first, let's bring the boat back to us. Right, now that we have the boat closer, we're going to go into menu, and then Navi calibration. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to intentionally increase the number quite significantly. If you go for +10, that will make quite a degree of difference. So I'm going to go for 100, and we'll go for 140. Every time you do this, you must click save. If you don't click save, the number won't change. It will default back to normal. Now we exit. Now, in theory, this should go quite a bit further to the right of my save spot, which I haven't changed. What we'll do, we'll ask it to navigate to that spot. And he should now go, not considerably, but a decent amount to the right. You can actually already see the path he's taking, to the extent I'm actually going to have to stop it because it's going to hit these little branches in the water here. So I'll ask him again to go to that spot. And you can already see how it's behaving. So by increasing that number by 50, you can actually see the difference that has made. He takes a much bigger arc. So the boat will always know roughly where the location is, but it's almost fighting itself. And we'll see in a moment, it's actually going to end up going to the right by, I would say, by eye, about 1 metre, give or take. Again, the editing software will confirm this. But you can see, even the trajectory path that the boat went on was actually quite significantly different. So we know for a fact, right, so if your boat is doing this, if it's behaving like this, you need to lower the number. So we'll go back into the settings, Navi calibration, as you can see, 140. So we know for a fact that 90 worked. But what we'll do, we'll go the opposite direction now. We'll go down to 50. We'll save that. And you can see the number changes. Now we can exit the menu. And what we'll do, we'll bring the boat back in once again, and we'll just see how it operates with a lower number, just so you can see exactly how it behaves and you can get a better idea of how to adjust it for your fine tuning. Okay, right, so we're going to ask the boat to go out again. And again, you'll probably find it'll take quite a wide trajectory to the left this time round, which I can see it's already doing. So you'll notice behavioural differences straight away. So if your boat is behaving like this, then definitely take a look at the GPS Navi calibration. It's just hit some twigs. Unfortunately, we're quite limited with the width that we have in this little pond here, so you will have to bear with me. But I think you can probably gather a good picture of how it behaves and what it does. So what we'll do, we'll come into some open water over here and hope that if I do it again now, all I want to do is just get a visual representation of where it's actually going to stop. So you can already see, go quite wide left. Yeah, I'm going to have to stop it again, but basically, hopefully you guys will understand and get the idea. Now, if I set him back to 90, and as I say, 90 is probably not going to be the correct setting for everybody, but that is our ballpark figure. That's what we always tend to find here in the UK works best for most people. So we'll bring that back up to 90, as you can see there. Again, don't forget to save. And now we can exit out of that. Let's bring the boat back again and ask it to navigate to that safe spot again. And hopefully it should behave exactly as it did at the very beginning. Okay, so let's ask it to navigate again now. Now, it's quite normal for it to take a bit of a sort of a curved path sometimes as the boat learns exactly where it needs to go. But obviously the main concern is mostly is where it's going to stop. So as we can see, the boat is already behaving much more characteristically like it did at the beginning, which I would expect it to do so because it's back to the same setting. But as you can see now, a smidge to the left compared to before, but you know, you've got to allow for some discrepancy within a metre. And yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's pretty much back on that spot, give or take. It's no longer going miles left or miles right. But I just wanted to represent in a video exactly what the settings do. So the lower the setting, the more left, the higher the setting, more right. But you don't need to adjust it massively. You know, I would recommend first things first is keep record of what it started at. So if you go to Navi calibration, keep note of your offset rate as it starts at. If you're unsure, you can always ask us. But I have, as I mentioned briefly earlier, we have had a couple of boats where they're still in the Chinese setting, which is way up in the 200s. I think they're normally about 230. And you will see now, if I just demonstrate this. So if you get a boat and it does this, although it's wrong, it can be fixed quite easily. Now, if I face it this way and I ask it to navigate, so if I navigate, okay, it'll come back at me, look. It'll literally go to opposite. It'll go to operate in the opposite way, and then it'll try and take a massive arc as it tries to actually find that safe spot. So on the GPS Navi calibration, you've got a whole ton of adjustments, and it is easy to get it wrong. So as I mentioned, always remember to save your original number or jot it down, and always remember, if you do get stuck, always go to a safe setting of around 80 to 90, even maybe 100 at a push. But I'm going to bring this back down now whilst I remember, otherwise Adam's going to come to use this boat in a few weeks and he's going to be wondering what's misbehaving. So there we go, save that again. Now, hopefully this video makes sense. I wanted to try and make it quick, but at the same time I wanted to explain it in detail, so it's probably dragged on a little bit longer than it needed to, but I always like myself to get a good visual representation of what something's doing rather than just having somebody explain. So hopefully this helps some of you out. And as I mentioned, if you do continue to have any navigation or accuracy issues despite doing this, get in touch and there's a few more things that we can go through. Take care.